For 3 different families caught up in a romantic triangle, a nightmare scenario played out in a quiet Auckland, New Zealand suburb. There were only losers and regrets in this situation, not winners. Meeting new people, forming relationships, and even getting a second chance at love can all be exciting aspects of online dating. What transpires, though, when our expectations and the reality we experience diverge? Some people may find themselves drawn into a downward spiral, but others who carry darkness within may be able to just walk away. This is an example of a tragically mishandled love triangle. On Friday, August 23, 2013, Kelsey Witt, an 18-year-old residing in Papakura with her mother, appeared to be an average day. Since their parents are divorced, she typically spends the weekends with her dad, Trevor Witt. Usually, he texts her, so she thought it was odd that he hadn't replied to her messages all day. Kelsey went to a party on Saturday night and left her clothes at her dad's front door for the weekend. It occurred to her that their house's lights were turned off a little earlier than normal. When Kelsey got back to her dad's house at 11:30 p.m, she saw a car she didn't recognise parked next to his. She entered the house, which was eerily quiet and completely dark. Upon turning on the lights, she observed that the kitchen counter held 2 used wine glasses and an empty bottle of wine. Not long after she went to bed, she realised her father wasn't there the next morning when she finished her morning routine and had a homemade breakfast. He was usually an early riser and was always awake before her, so this was strange. The glass sliding door to his bedroom was broken, as she could see when she peered out the window. Suddenly, she experienced a horrible, inexplicable feeling in her heart. Anxious, she approached his sleeping quarters. Observing that his glass had broken all over the floor, she cautiously entered the completely dark bedroom and flicked on the light. Her entire world seemed to have turned upside down at that precise moment. She witnessed a scene that would stay etched in her memory forever, and time stopped. Her dad was sprawled across the bed, blood seeping into the bedsheets from his face and chest. Beside him on the bed was another woman who had bled similarly all over and was covered in blood. She made an instant police call. At 11:20 a.m, the call was placed. Within minutes, police and emergency personnel were on the scene. Following the victim's immediate death, a homicide investigation was started. The victims, identified as Kelsey's father, Trevor Hammond Waite, 51, and 47-year-old Glennis Marie Stanton, were both fatally shot in the chest and neck. Given the nature of the wounds, it was likely a crime of passion because several of them appeared to have been done after the victim's death. Nothing was taken in spite of the violence, and the house continued to be eerily normal. Upon reconstructing the crime scene, it appeared that the perpetrator fired 7 shots at the locking mechanism on the bedroom's hard-end glass door, shattering the glass as they went to sleep. Then the offender reached in and opened the door, creating a path inside. They shot their victim multiple times as soon as they entered the bedroom, also striking the bed frame and the wall above. Within the bedroom, a .22 caliber weapon fired 29 shots in total. The gunman did not go inside any other areas of the house after this. They left via the same entrance. The last text message sent from Glennis Stanton's cell phone was dated 9:09 p.m, which suggests that the murders occurred sometime after that time. Although the attacker's path to and from the property could not be definitively determined, investigators came to the conclusion that they had to have arrived and left on foot. After starting their investigation, detectives found hints about their main suspect in recent texts from Glennis's phone and an online dating profile. Victims. In addition to being a recent grandmother, Glennis Marie Stanton was a 47-year-old mother of 2. She led an adventurous and resilient life. She was the youngest of 3 children and at the age of 15, she lost her mother to cancer. For Glennis, Auckland was her birthplace and her upbringing. When Glennis passed away, friends said she was in a very good place in life. She appeared more radiant and content than she had in a long time. One friend said, "I'm just in shock right now." Glennis was an auto enthusiast who had just finished the Tongariro crossing and had run half marathons. She maintained contact with her family despite leading an active lifestyle, and they had a close relationship. It was she, the divorcee, who was living life to the fullest. Glennis had a passion for life. In 2005, she took a tour of Europe, and upon her return to New Zealand, she opened a cafe in Paihia. She was forced to close the business because, regrettably, things did not go as planned. In 2006, she went back to Auckland to restart her life. She held a number of jobs. Glennis was said to possess a serene disposition and the capacity to find the positive aspects of any circumstance. Friends and colleagues characterised her as kind, genuine and endearing with a striking smile. A few months before her murder, she had recently followed her childhood dream of working as an international flight attendant, having secured a position with Air New Zealand. Flying long-haul flights was an incredible experience as it presented the chance to discover new locations and interact with unfamiliar people. She started experimenting with online dating at about the same time because she wanted to meet new people. She characterised herself as, quote, young at heart, enjoying challenges and staying in shape in her online dating profile. Divorced, 51-year-old insurance manager Trevor Wyatt enjoyed spending time with his kids and being outside. He worked in a steady job. In March 2013, he had connected with Glennis via a meetup group in Auckland. Before Trevor left on vacation, they had a casual relationship. Meanwhile, Glennis had used findsomeone.co.nz to get in touch with John Mowat as well. Mowat had just gotten divorced. Their relationship looked wonderful at first. They were both content. Even her friends were informed by Glennis that she intended to wed John. But eventually these sentiments faded, and Glennis made the decision to end it. She was allegedly overpowered by John Mowat's incessant need for attention. She made it known to John Mowat in early August 2013 that she wanted to see other people and that she wanted to break off their exclusive dating arrangement. However, Mowat kept messaging her, declaring his love for her and his willingness to go to any lengths to keep their relationship going. It was around this time that she resumed seeing Trevor, who was now back in the city. They appeared to get along well and enjoyed spending time together doing things that they both enjoyed, like riding and hiking. Mowat informed his 20-year-old son on August 15th that he was, quote, at another crisis point. He claimed that his emotions were the reason his relationship ended. He assured her that although his time with Glennis had been among the best in his life, they would get through it. The following day, Mowat broke the news of the split to his 16-year-old daughter, stating that Glennis wanted to, quote, continue hanging out with her other male friends and have more independence. Later, his daughter disclosed that he was, quote, seeking God's help to turn his life around. While hiking the next day, Mowat opened up to a man he met and shared his heart with. Despite his suicidal thoughts, he declared that he would, quote, stay alive for his kids. Mowat promised to go to the support group the man suggested he attend. A few days later, Mowat bought a self-help book on controlling his mood fluctuations. In a conversation with his mother, he also declared he would, quote, end it all. He was like, quote, a tight wire that was about to snap, according to his mother. He told her he couldn't sleep and she mentioned he had lost weight. She insisted he visit a physician. It was obvious that John Mowat was an internally troubled man, battling thoughts and inner demons. In addition, he had recently lost his job and had been fighting for 2 years to get over his divorce. Perhaps his time with Glennis was the addictive change of pace he sorely needed. The silence before the fury. On August 19th, 2013, Glennis hosted John for dinner, and they stayed at her house that night. Afterward, he messaged her to let her know how special the night had been to him. Still, Mowat was depressed the following day. Later, Cameron, a part-time builder who was assisting with home renovations, disclosed that Mowat was, quote, extremely depressed, teary-eyed, and upset. When Glennis returned home on August 22nd, Mowat was already there. She asked him to come inside so they could talk, but she had to leave quickly because she had an early flight the following day. Mowat noticed condoms in Glennis's packed bag while she was at her house. He went to the home of a woman he had dated in 2012 on his way back, but she wasn't there. When her roommate answered the door, she said that Mowat was really upset. The following day, August 23rd, the day of the killings, Mowat disclosed the condoms he had discovered in Glennis's bag to his landlady, daughter, and friends. He was happy, frail, and hardly able to control himself, but he appeared, quote, to be accepting of Glennis's desire to no longer be his only girlfriend. That same day at 5 p.m, Mowat had another conversation with Cameron, the builder, informing him that Glennis had invited him to supper at her house. Nevertheless, there is no documentation of such a call or text. On that day, Glennis and Mowat did text each other, but there was no invitation or plan to meet in them. The crimes night Mowat had carefully thought through his plans for that evening. He probably didn't want to be tracked, so he purposefully left his phone at home. Then, carrying a semi-automatic gun chambered in .2 caliber, he headed over to Trevor's house. Mowat withdrew after his vicious attack and went back home. When his landlady saw him the following morning, she said he looked unusually quiet. The pursuit. The police made unsuccessful attempts to get in touch with Mowat in the days that followed the killings. August 27th, a Tuesday. The police made contact with one of Mowat's friends, John, in order to speak with him. John repeatedly tried to reach Mowat on his cell phone, but he never got a response. At 10 p.m, Mowat finally returned his call and told him he had gone bush, was north of Auckland, and was carrying guns. John informed him that the police were among the many people searching for him. "I guess you know why," Mowat retorted. Mowat also spoke with his daughter that evening. She had previously messaged him to inquire about his well-being. Finally, he responded with a sad face emoji and said, "Not okay, darling." He talked to his son, who had been attempting to call him all day, 20 minutes after he had spoken with John. He claimed that for the previous 2 years, he had been alone himself, locked in a forest, going through a dark emotional period that had led to some very poor choices. His son questioned him about Glennis's situation. Mowat said, quote, "Dark and messed up stuff." After telling his son to take care of his sister, he hung up. The police were able to triangulate his location during this period. His car was found leaving the parking lot and heading up Wood Hill Forest. The police brought in an Eagle helicopter, a special tactics unit, and the Armed Offender Squad, or AOS. They had to find Mowat fast because he was thought to be armed and dangerous. At approximately 11:25 p.m, the Eagle's crew used infrared heat-seeking technology to find him. The Armed Offender Squad located him in less than 20 minutes. The idea had been to trap him somewhere so that a trained crisis mediator could call him. They had come within 109 yards, or 100 meters of him, and it appeared that he was unaware of their approach. They heard a gunshot at midnight, and when they arrived at the scene, they discovered him lying there with a single gunshot wound to the head from a rifle. Mowat had committed suicide. Human nature's dualities. It should be mentioned that such a tragedy was probably brought on by the disastrous effects of untreated mental health issues. John Mowat was an emotionally unstable person who attributed his bad luck to other people. He allowed his negative feelings, such as jealousy, to overcome him, and one poor choice resulted in a tragedy affecting multiple families. About the struggles he went through, well, Glennis went through her own struggles as well. She lost her mother to cancer when she was a young girl of 15, experienced a failed business endeavour, and more. Nevertheless, her optimistic approach to life enabled her to overcome her setback and pursue her aspirations of becoming a flight attendant at the age of 47. These are two very different life outcomes for individuals who experience pain, but handled it in very different ways. Maybe the most important lesson is to learn how to face adversity head-on rather than how to avoid it. The end is in sight, but we have to be prepared to work hard to get there. Despite their own loss, the families of Trevor Wyatt and Glennis Stanton expressed a great deal of sympathy for Mowat's children in the wake of this tragedy. A family member expressed, quote, "Our thoughts and prayers are with his children. They must cope with a great loss and are innocent in this. Check out another left triangle case on our channel if you thought this one was interesting. Remember to subscribe, like, and share our content to help us tell more stories like this one.